Okay, what we're going to take a look at now is just a bit more query optimization. We're going to take a look at what we're doing when we get a list of users. And let's once again, I'm just going to clean up the stuff at the top. And once again, we'll open up our terminal and scroll all the way down until we get to the bottom here. And what we'll do, we'll go back to Postman once again, just to get a clean query without the noise of SignalR or anything else going on. And what I'm going to do in section 16, I'm just going to repeat this request to go and get the users as Lisa. And let's click send, and we get our users back. And if we go and take a look at the query, and let's see what's going on inside here. And we've got another query that's getting far too much information or selecting far too much from the database. Now, when I'm doing this, I'm not saying this is a huge deal, by the way. Unless you've got a high traffic website that's making many queries, then you probably wouldn't see much difference from this. This is small optimizations to the queries themselves, and you might want to go and check the queries in your application and just make sure they're clean and they're a bit more efficient than this one looks. Now, this particular request, we're selecting everything from everything and we're getting a user. And the reason that we're doing this query, and we've got the join to our photos table as well. And this particular query, just before we go and fetch a list of users, is simply to find out what gender the user is. And we don't need to make this kind of query to go and get that kind of information. If we go to our users controller, and we'll open this, and we'll scroll up to where we're getting the users, then it's this query here. That's the one that's causing that big long list of text. But all we need from this really is the user's gender, because we don't need the user to go and get the user's username. We can just get that from the token using user and get username. And now all this is for is simply to get the gender. So what we'll do is we're going to take a look at our user repository and we'll create a method specifically just to get the user's gender. So we'll go to our iUser repository and we'll add a new method inside here that's going to return a task of string, and we'll say get user gender, and we'll say string of username as the parameter. And we'll go and head over to our user repository and let's go and implement this particular interface. So I'm going to implement this interface and we'll scroll down to where we have our new methods, and what we'll do inside here where we've got our get user gender, we'll just say that we're going to return await, and we'll say context.users.where, and we'll say x goes to x.username equal to the username, and we'll get an error because I haven't specified async on here. And then what we'll do is we'll say select, and all we want from here is x goes to x.gender, and then we're going to say first or default async. And let's bring this down because it's quite a long line, and this one as well. So what this gives us is just that single property from the database, and then we can head back to our users controller, and instead of var user, we'll say var gender, and we'll say get user gender, and then we'll pass in our user.getUsername, and then we can swap this simply for gender. So now if we repeat our behavior, let's go back to our terminal, and once again I'm just going to scroll down to the bottom here so that we can see the new request, and I'll just go and repeat the request again and click on send. And the request still works, but what we're doing now to get the user's gender is just contained inside these 5 lines here. So once again, a much cleaner looking request, and we're not getting unnecessary data from the database into memory so that we can work out what we're doing next. So I just wanted to go through a few queries to show you a few things we could do. I'm sure there's other methods in here that we've used, especially the get user by username, where we're always including the photos. I'm pretty sure there's going to be places that you can find where you could swap that for a more optimized query. But this is as far as I'm going to go with this demonstration, because it's not particularly exciting. I just wanted to give you the idea. What we'll take a look at next is adding a confirm service so that we can present prettier notifications when a user needs to confirm something. And we'll look at that next.